start over?
Yeah.
Okay, we got it. Good afternoon. My name is Tim Young. On behalf of American Legion, Bouse Chamber 46, welcome to the 27th Annual Bouse Memorial Ceremony. Everybody stand for David to sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, through the broad stripes and bright stars, through the perilous night, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, the home of the brave.
Okay now? Yes. Trying. Okay, when everybody are able, with raising of the colors by Earl Ball and April Eileen of Post 46. Okay, Debbie Settles will now sing Amazing Grace for us.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Everybody. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Blind, but now I see.
Thank you, Debbie. 46 auxiliary women will now present the service flag for each and every individual service. We ask veterans present to stand or raise your hand when your service flag is presented. Please remain standing.
asked to speak a few words about the camp itself and this monument site. recognize on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, the American Legion, and our VFW post. We do appreciate you guys carrying this memorial service on each year, and we do appreciate you guys. Thank you all. So the camp was first established in 1943. The Army needed a very isolated location to train with a secret light that was mounted on the turret on the MT tank, shop tank, and the Sherman tank. And the area first brought into was out around Fort Knox, Kentucky. They were looking for an isolated desert area, being that this area was already established in the Rice Desert Center when Patton set up his troops for the desert training. So they came out to the Bouse area, Butler Valley, and located an area. And so they started building the camp. And this 13 million carbon arc light that they mounted on this turret was actually developed by the British in World War I. And they did a demonstration to our officers, our generals, and on the front lines on the significance of the night warfare. And they were so impressed they wanted to research it more. There was approximately 250 tanks that were outfitted, 6 tank battalions. There was a full station hospital. There was an engineering company. There was a armored infantry, the 526 Armored Infantry Battalion. Those were the guys in the half tracks. There was a heavy maintenance company. And then Bouse kind of became the hub, the PX for the base. And this site here was turned into a fueling depot. The large concrete platform here was original to the site, and then the other platforms here in between the monuments were built by the Army when they came in and established the camp, and it also housed another fuel tank. And so part of their training was to come into Bouse on a daily basis and fill up 5-gallon jerry cans of fuel and take it back out to the camp. If you can imagine vehicles coming in here every day, filling up those tanks and all those vehicles out there, that was part of their training. With the ANC Mercantile, it was dedicated one year as the PX, and it got its own plaque. And I believe sometime here in the near future, we're going to be moving that plaque over to this side of the monument site to be part of this original monument row. So the Chamber of Commerce put this on for 25 years, and we're, again, very honored that Legion and the VFW agreed to take it over. Some of those early folks in Bouse that helped designate this site as the original monument row, I need to give a big shout out to Diane Evans. She was instrumental in those early years. In 1996, a group of the clampers, the historians, and a couple of the veterans from the 526th Armored Infantry Battalion came to Bouse, and they actually wanted to put that first monument out at the camp, 21 miles east of town. And they met with Diane because she was a little girl here that grew up during that time frame when the Army came in to set up the camp. Her brothers were both living here also with their father, who owned the ANC Mercantile at that time. Well, Diane convinced those veterans from the 526 and those historians to put the plaque here in town because she said, well, no one's going to see it out there, and everyone's going to see it here in town. So with the county's help and our Chamber of Commerce, we approached the ANC Railroad, and they gave us a 99-year lease on this site. With the county's help, our board of supervisors, we made it happen. And the two tanks you see here, the M60 patent tank came from the Scirocco Summit Patent Museum that was donated to us. Our county stepped up to the plate and sent our Public Works lowboy over there to Scirocco Summit to trailer that tank back. And the 109 self-propelled howitzer came from the armory in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The chamber got put on a donee list from the Department of Military for armaments, and they would reach out to us with a list of equipment if it interested us and we thought it was appropriate to put here on the site. So that's how those two tanks came about. The one Brahma Jeep, the old pickup truck that's sitting there behind the monuments, that was donated to us from a fella and a family over in Salone. And really the rest is history. Each year we had a monument go up with the Clampers Vitus. And we called them the red shirts because they always wore a red shirt when they were here on work parties. And the first year was the 526, and then there was another one the year following that. And then the third year they decided they wanted to put 3 plaques up. And they nicknamed it the Triple Erection. So there's a lot of empty beer cans in each one of those monuments. Those guys were some good workers. They were hard at it, and they really put their heart and soul into building the forms, pouring the concrete, but they did like to party. And so each one of those monuments has a variety of beer cans inside. And again, I just want to thank you for being here, and thank you again on behalf of the Chamber and our American Legion and VFW. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I want to add one thing that's not on my little list. I think we have to give special thanks to Diana Ball for all the work she has done organizing this for us. Now it's time to introduce our commander of Post 46, Richard Woodmark. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody for showing up. Somebody give me some notes, and bear with me. I'm the commander of the American Legion, Post 46. Thank everybody for coming. I would like to introduce to a gentleman that knows a lot about Army and Army history. He's been in it for a long time, so I'd like to introduce you to the commander of the Yuma Proving Ground, Colonel Patrick McCall.
Good afternoon. I got to make sure my time of day is correct here. If you don't mind, I'm going to probably do some non-standard speaking, if that's okay, because I see a wireless mic, so I think it's probably a little bit better to maybe come to y'all and talk a little bit. Can everybody hear me okay? You know, I was here 2 years ago and talking a little bit about what Camp Bouse was, and John, great discussion on history. Thank you so much. And of course, those who put this together, thank you. What a great event. And you know, I look up here. There's these three, you know, thriving young, and yes, you're young, kids being forced to sit here, but so calmly. I'm impressed. But you know, but then I look out and I see all of us graybeards. Okay? And I say that nicely, and that's okay. Because if you think about what Camp Bouse is, what does Camp Bouse really mean? In 1914, we entered World War I, or excuse me, the U.S. was not in World War I until 1917. It was trench warfare. Now, there's a great movie on Netflix which shows trench warfare, what it was like, great rendition of what's going on. Now, why am I talking about World War I when Camp Bouse is World War II? World War II came along, and we thought we're going to fight a war like we did in World War I. So we built these great tanks with these big spotlights. So when we embarked upon the trenches, those spotlights would shine down, blind the enemy, and allow us being the Allied side, to storm it, and hopefully take less casualties. Because I know correctly, World War I, a lot of people lost their lives. When we came to World War II, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, please, we were the 19th largest military in the world. We were just small. I think Portugal was bigger than us. So think about that. Portugal had a bigger military than us. Started World War II. That's okay. We quickly, the U.S. reacted. And the greatest generation was formed, as I think I read that book from Tom Berkowitz, I can't remember who it was, but wrote a great book about the greatest generation, the World War II generation. And the country called of duty stepped up. We sacrificed. We gave up coffee, sugar, aluminum, steel, nylon, so we could have parachutes, you name it. And the second largest secret project in the United States military was Camp Bouse. Is that right? Okay, make sure I got my history correct here. And so they tested out in this desert. Now, let's go ahead and stick 18-year-old kids in the desert, and every day they get to come in here and with their jerry cans and 5 gallons of fuel. I'm sure that's not the only thing they were getting. That and other things. Okay? But why do I say this? The project never took off. It was never deployed. And that's okay. Because as we were sitting here, and when the flags are coming out, and I'm going to be all over the place here. I'm going to try to do some linkage and bring this conversation in where I'm going with this, if that's okay with y'all. We looked up here, and we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flags. And I'm going to stand in front of this one a second. And this is what our nation knows. Now we have this new flag, Space Force. That's a great joke. Okay? Star Trek, whatever you want to call it. But Camp Bouse represented a war we thought we were going to fight, which was trench warfare. We built technology to go fight that war. What happened, it never materialized. We had to quickly adjust because we were not ready to fight. And that's what happens to us a lot of times. But like Space Force, you know, all joking aside, there is a battle in space. And we need technology, we need people to be able to defend that area of that zone. I like my cell phone. Okay? I like my OnStar. I don't have it. I'm not a Chevy guy. I'm a Ram guy, so I'm not going to talk about that. Amen. First on race day. Roger, I'm from the South. And so I'm talking about this because Camp Bouse was a developmental site to test technology. Whether we use it or not, doesn't matter. Do we have the capability? Can we deploy the capability? What do we do with this capability? Is equipment ready? What's the doctrine? What's the tactics, techniques, and procedures we do when we use this? And then how do we go train it? Now I'm the commander of Human Proving Ground. Down at Human Proving Ground, we do developmental tests down there. We test the technology today you won't see about 10 to 20 years from now. We get equipment to fail, and and that's okay. That's our mission. Much like Camp Bouse, that's what we were doing. That's what we're doing today. We had project convergence come in, which was a top 5 Army priority. In 2021, it was so big, I had to go down to Marine Corps Air Station to park airplanes because we had a Secretary of the Army. Every 4-star in the United States Army was here. FORCECOM, TRADOC, AFC, you name it. We had 3 stars from the Pentagon, the G staff coming out here. We had 2 and 1 stars. It was huge. Because what we're trying to figure out is, what does the fight look like tomorrow? And really what we're saying is, what are we doing for y'all? You three are the future fight of this country or the world. Think about that, huh? Well, whatever it is, you know. However it looks, you know. Right now I'm looking at Space Force, so who knows what's going to be your generation, okay? But all kidding aside, that's what Camp Bouse was. Developmental test. Keep it secret. Because we don't, and the enemy finds what we're doing, they can defend against it. God knows what will happen. I saw the Tet Offense, right? Anybody hear the Tet Offense? Yes. Vietnam. Yes, thank you. You think about Vietnam. Vietnam came, those service members came home, they were not recognized. Matter of fact, it was not a very fitting for them to come home. That's okay, say it like that. But because of that thing, that generation knew that, you know what, we took it all on the wrong people. Whether you agree or disagree with protesting, that's your constitutional right, we shouldn't have took it out on the service members. They were just doing their call of duty and their constitutional requirements. So when Gulf War came around, a lot of things happened. Colin Powell said, we will not go into the Gulf War as we did into Vietnam. We will have an exit strategy. We'll have defined what we're going to do. And when those service members came home, the generation that went to Vietnam remembered. The flags waved. We brought them home. We held them. We coddled them. We took care of them. Now my generation, we decided to go to Iraq and Afghanistan, and we came back, and the country welcomed us. Regardless of the policies and everything going on over there, the service members were welcomed back. All because of what happened in Vietnam. You didn't get what the greatest generation got when they came home. I apologize, but I want to take a moment to recognize our Vietnam veterans. Korea, of course, a forgotten war. Now, why am I saying all this? I realize it's about Camp Bouse. But it's more than that. It's about honoring our service to country. What we do at Camp Bouse is what we're doing for the future. It's representation. And we can never forget, if that makes sense what I'm saying here. Okay? You already got the history lesson, Camp Bouse. I will not compete with this man. He will embarrass me tomorrow. But what I will do is bring this kind of together and why we do what we do. Again, I talk about human proving ground. The technology we're developing today is for the future. So I kind of got off script there, Mark, and I got to bring myself back here. Give me a second. I didn't want to break out glasses, you know, and like make fun of myself. I'm not there yet, but I got the hearing. Don't worry, I will need hearing aids too, trust me. Okay. My wife was here, I'd make a poke a joke. But since she's not anyways, Mark, you don't tell her. So my wife will talk to me, and so I hear sounds, right? I can't make out the words, but I hear sounds. And she goes, you never hear what I say, but you always turn your head. It's like, yes, I hear sounds. I just can't make out the wavelengths for what those sounds are. And she looks at me funny, looking at me like, yeah, right. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. You'll never know. So, in World War I, we lost millions of lives. World War II, we lost about 300,000, about right. Vietnam, I think, was 60, 70,000. And the numbers keep going down. That's because of the technology we're building. In Afghanistan and Iraq, if it wasn't for the up-armored vehicles, the body armor we had, we would have lost more service members. Now, we probably have a high injury rate, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Lost legs, lost limbs, PTSD. And I'm glad we're recognizing these things, especially for our veterans today. To say, you know what, it's okay as a veteran to say, I'm not right in mind. Something ain't right. And that's okay. We should be able to say that. Not feel like we're unmanly or an unwarrior. Those are things that we got to be able to do. All this because of Vietnam. The lessons we learned from Vietnam were tremendous. And I'm talking about this because no one's ever really sat back and said how important the Vietnam vets are to our country and what they did for us. Now, I realize we're here for Camp Bouse, but we keep fighting the war of yesterday instead of focusing on the war of tomorrow. And to our Vietnam veterans, thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause for our Vietnam veterans, please? Anybody here serve in World War II? Korea? See, they're 1951 to 52, correct? Korea? Holy cow, 2. As you can see, the World War II era, we're losing. Korea, we have 2. Vietnam again? All right. Panama, Desert Storm? Well, you just didn't want to stop, did you? You must be a Marine. Okay, how about Iraq, Afghanistan? Anybody here? Okay, I did that. How about, I'll raise my hand. So, I just want to take a moment to recognize y'all. And I have today what I have because we learned from Camp Bouse. We learned from World War II. We learned from Korea. There's a great movie on Netflix, by the way, about the pilot in the Chosen Reservoir, right? You know what I'm talking about? Have you watched it? One of the guys got a Medal of Honor. If you get a chance, it's on Netflix. Great. I forgot what it's called, but it's about the first African American pilot, I believe, in warfare. Got shot down. The guy came down. It's a history, but if you get a chance to watch it, it's a great movie. But it's remembering, don't forget. So I'm going to close this up, and hopefully I haven't bored you all too much. And give y'all really what I need. You know what? Hold on a second. Since y'all sat through this, I want y'all to tell me what you think is important that you've heard. How about you, man? Anything. What do you think? Nothing. It's okay. How about you? What'd you learn? I don't know, but I see chocolate around them lips, so I want to know where you were. You want to test drive that tank? Yes? Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's awesome. I'm going to say this because we spend so much time talking about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But we don't spend time talking about humanities. Humanity is still important, which is the history, the philosophies, those arts and stuff that nobody wants to do. Because leaders have to understand humanities to include the hard sciences. That's what makes our military so great, because that's what we believe in. They all go together. But to you three, I really appreciate y'all being out here, just saying, because you know, when I'm sitting out here, I'm retired, and I will retire one day. I'm relying on y'all. You're the future of this great country. Thank you so much for being here. Okay? All right, Mark, let me make sure I didn't miss any great words that you did for me. All right, I'll come back to script now. Hey, look, thank you so much for asking me to be here today. This truly is an honor. And I realize that I talk so much about Camp Bouse and more about honoring y'all. To say, thank you for what you do for us and did for us. You know, it's a great honor for me to speak with you. I am proud of the way you Proving Ground carries out the legacy of the soldiers of Camp Bouse. Their spirit is down at Human Proving Ground, what we still do, and has helped us secure our country's peace and prosperity for all time to come. I will always enjoy the opportunity to share our story at Human Proving Ground, but I thought today I wanted to share your story. I thought that was maybe a little bit more important for what Camp Bouse represents for what you did. I hope y'all are okay with that, the twist I just took, because I felt in my heart that's what I need to do, not necessarily sit behind a podium and just talk about a speech. Because follow my heart, that's how I made it this far, why stop what I'm doing. And mainly I want to say thank you for allowing me to do this. God bless y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service to our great country and our Constitution. It is alive today because of you. God bless.
Thank you, Colonel.
Well, it means a lot for people showing up and for this memorial. I've been here for 22 years, and there for a lot of time, a lot of years, I didn't know what this was all about, and until I stopped and actually read the memorial was on the cement. So anyway, thanks everyone for coming for the 27th annual memorial ceremony, Camp Bouse. I'd like to thank John Miller he's helped us out a lot for this, and the Colonel, of course. Colonel McVeigh coming all this way down and give us a little knowledge of the military and what we expect in the future. So, yeah, let's not forget our military men and women, past, the present, and the future. He is sitting in the front row, of course, the future. Well, God bless you and thank you all for coming. And I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to come to the American Legion, we have sloppy joes, potato salad, beans, and free to whoever wants to come. Okay? And I want to thank you very much for coming, and hope to see you here again next year. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, I messed up a little bit. We're going to play the taps, okay? Sorry about that.